Oh, hi there. I didn't notice you there. We are conducting a investigative research on Christopher Nolan. So, who exactly is Christopher Nolan and why is it that he's so important to us? Well, basically, we're doing this research because we want to bring Christopher Nolan into the world of literature. Well, what we want, we get. So, join us on this journey as we go and encounter Mr. Christopher Nolan and his various accomplishments, his biography, and his contribution to the world of literature in World Literature. Come on. You're back with us on World Literature, and I'm currently with Mr. Fahmi Zuhairi. I would like to ask your opinion. Christopher Nolan, mixed American and British, famous director, videographer, and writer. Do you mind sharing with us about his early life?
Okay, Christopher Edward Nolan is an English movie director, screenwriter and producer. He is one of the highest grossing directors in history and among the most influential movie maker of the 21st century. He was born on 13 July 1970 in London, England. His English father, Brandon James Nolan, was an advertising executive, and his mother, Christina Jensen, worked as a flight attendant. Nolan has dual citizenship within the United States and Great Britain. He is married to Emma Thomas, whom he met at University College London when he was 19. His wife worked as a producer on all of his future movies. From that marriage, the couple managed to have 4 children. Nolan currently resides in Los Angeles, California with his family. They also have their own production company named Syncope. Protective of his privacy, he rarely discusses his personal life in interviews.
Wow, interesting. You are a really analytical person. I could see that you have a really huge future in the literature knowledge, in the field of literature. So do you mind sharing with us about the early years later on, proceeding to his baby steps and later in his career development in Christopher Nolan?
Christopher Nolan began making films at the age of 7, borrowing his father's Super 8 camera and shooting short films with his action figures. Growing up, Nolan was influenced by Star Wars, and around the age of 8, he made a stop-motion animation homage called Space Wars. From the age of 11, he aspired to be a professional filmmaker. Nolan then went to attend University College London, where he studied English literature and joined the school's film society. It can be seen that his talent in directing developed since he was young. During his college years, Nolan has made 2 short films. The first short film that he made was The Tarantella in 1989, and the second one was Larceny. After earning his bachelor degree in English literature in 1993, Nolan worked as a scriptwriter, camera operator, and director of corporate movie videos and industrial films. He also made a third short, Doodlebug, in 1997. In 1998, Nolan directed his first film entitled Following, which he personally funded and filmed with his friends. The film was inspired by Nolan's experience of living in London. The budget of this film was only $3,000. Surprisingly, despite of its low budget, the film won several awards. As a result of this first movie's success, Nolan was afforded the opportunity to continue his journey in the industry. Over the course of 15 years of filmmaking, Nolan has gone from low-budget independent movies to working on some of the biggest blockbusters ever made.
Back with us on World Literature, and my next guest at this time is Hakim, and we'll be interviewing a few questions about the investigating story of Christopher Nolan. My first question is, can you tell us about Christopher Nolan's directing career?
Nolan's major film debut, Following, was a black and white, small-budget work about a lonely writer who's obsessed with following strangers and then partners with a burglar. The film's unconventional, non-linear narrative scheme helped garner interest in Nolan's work and propelled him to his next film, Memento. The noirish indie feature starred Guy Pearce as an amnesiac man who relies on Polaroids and copious note-taking while seeking vengeance. So Nolan adapted the work from a story written by his brother Jonathan Nolan and the film received 2 Oscar nominations for its editing and screenplay. He continued presenting psychological thrillers with the remake Insomnia, starring Al Pacino as a police officer in Alaska, handling a murder investigation while contending with a lingering guilt. The director's career then traveled into a stratosphere when he agreed to helm the relaunch of the comic book hero Batman with the 2005 film Batman Begins, starring Christian Bale as the titular character. The movie went on to earn more than $370 million worldwide. Nolan next released 2006 The Prestige.
With me, Mr. Mohammad AZMEER, maybe you can share a little bit about Christopher Nolan, about his accomplishment throughout his time as a director.
Alright, okay, Christopher Nolan is actually well known for his passion in directing psychological thrillers, and Nolan's movies are well known for its intellectualism, psychological depth, and unorthodox way of storytelling. His non-linear storytelling is actually depicted in movies such as Dark Knight Rises, Inception, Interstellar, and also the latest one is Dunkirk.
Alright, thank you AZMEER. So do you mind sharing with us what is your favorite movie from Christopher Nolan, and which movie do you relate yourself the most?
Okay, my favorite movie of Christopher Nolan's, I think it would be Inception, because I'm actually fascinated by the subjective perception of reality portrayed in Inception, and that we are all stuck in a very singular point of view, a singular perspective on what we all agree to be an objective reality. And movies are one of the ways in which we try to see things from the same point of view. So I can see that in this movie Inception, it is quite subjective in perspective of point of view. So it is very confusing, but it is very interesting. You have to watch.
Okay, among all Christopher Nolan movies, which characters do you like the most?
Alright, okay, my favorite character would be, I think, from the movie Batman, The Dark Knight Rises. I can say that Joker is one of the best characters from this movie because it was a great display by Heath Ledger, a legend. And the characters in his movies, most of his movies explores the realm of a person's highly layered unconscious mind, which actually is very interesting because a character such as Joker is very rare to be seen in cinematic world nowadays.
Interesting answer, AZMEER. Do you mind sharing to the viewers what is the prominent recurring theme of Christopher Nolan's movie?
Okay, the most prominent recurring theme in most of his movies actually is the concept of time. Christopher Nolan is very famous in playing with the concept of time in most of his movies, and I'm sure that this is something that is hard to understand, but something that will be mind-boggling and also interesting to the fans.
Alright, thank you AZMEER. Interesting answers. One last question. What is the major influence on Christopher Nolan's movie towards the viewers?
Alright, okay. The major influence in Christopher Nolan's movies would be some of the literature works that he studied and researched on, and he used A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens in directing Dark Knight Rises, and also Flatland by Edwin Abbott in directing Interstellar. These two books have actually a major influence in the screenplay of these two movies.
And with me right now is Mr. ZAMIER Zamri. As we will be talking about Christopher Nolan, do you mind sharing with us some of your favorite movies from Christopher Nolan's production?
I'm just gonna take 3 movies. These movies are because of the ratings. So the ratings are from the site called Rotten Tomatoes. So Rotten Tomatoes use percentage type of ratings. It is higher to 100, so it is fresh. It is fresh.
What is your first choice of movie?
Okay, the first choice of movie is Interstellar. He directed this in 2014. Based on the site Rotten Tomatoes, the site gave the movie 71% of freshness. Based on the magazine Rolling Stone, they review this movie. I quote, "In 2001, Kubrick saw a future that was out of our own hands. For Nolan, our reliance on one another is all we have got." In 2001, we saw the movie Space Odyssey by Kubrick. Nolan actually used this movie as influence to create another movie, a sci-fi movie. I think that this movie is wonderfully engaging and inventive, with Nolan conjuring some truly spectacular blends of practical and visual effects to offer up space landscape that likes of which we have never seen before. And the cast are solid too, like Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway. They talk about love and science in an amazing way.
Interesting sharing about Interstellar. So Zame, do share with us about your second choice of movie from your personal review.
Okay, for the number 2 is Inception. Inception was directed by Nolan in 2010. So Rotten Tomatoes gave the movie 86% of freshness. So this movie for me is considered as a masterpiece because the logline of the movie itself is actually quite simple yet accurate. It's not just the logline but also the theme of the movie. So the movie is a heist thriller set within the architecture of mind. I mean, that is just amazing.
Wow, I'm so impressed.
Yep. Have you seen the movie?
I would like to watch it. I think we should plan a movie or plan it out.
Yes.
Yeah, it would be really wonderful.
Okay, one of the scenes that I personally love is where the character of Arthur, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, as Saito, played by Ken Watanabe. The line goes like, okay, imagine I'm Arthur and he is Saito. So, I ask you, do not think about elephants. What do you think?
Elephants.
See, that is just mind-blowing because I am giving him ideas, but it is not his ideas, it is my ideas. So that is actually Inception. Yeah. I mean, that is just mind-blowing, and I'm just gonna leave you with that.
How about your third personal reviews of Christopher Nolan's movie?
My favorite movie is The Dark Knight. He directed this movie in 2008. Rotten Tomatoes gave this movie 94% of freshness. For me, this is the best superhero film of all time because first, the cast. The cast was selected from best of the best. You can see Bruce Wayne is played by Christian Bale, and then Joker played by Heath Ledger, and also Aaron Eckhart plays Harvey Dent. Harvey Dent and also Two-Face. So for Heath Ledger, I mean, this is just the best Ledger's performance of all time.
Yeah, he won an Oscar for that.
Oscar for that. I mean, multiple awards, not just Oscars. Ledger's performance as Joker is just the best Joker performance, not just in the best superhero movie, but also the best performance of all time. Ledger disappears purely into the Joker and can swing from hilarious to seriously terrifying within a matter of seconds. How good he is as an actor.
So there we have it. Mr. ZAMIER just ranked his 3 favorite movie. Number 3 is Interstellar.
Yep.
Number 2 is Inception, and number 1 is The Dark Knight. Mr. ZAMIER, just to ask you, share your opinion about this movie. Maybe you can say this to the younger generations why they should watch.
Okay, I think the younger generation should watch all these movies because it can actually create the awareness that Christopher Nolan is trying to convey. For Inception, he was trying to convey that ideas can be mended, can be developed into the architecture of mind. And then maybe for The Dark Knight, the idea is where even a superhero is not all good. He is just human. For Interstellar, okay, the message is clear. It's about the environment. It's about finding another planet to live in because of this planet is no longer good to be living. Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you for being with us today in this segment. So, we have investigated Mr. Christopher Nolan with my fellow comrades in this adventure of world literature. And this wraps up the episode for World Literature. Catch us next week, same time, same place, only on DKE. Who happens to be a well-known English teacher as well as a TESL retired How dare you?